With the success of the Emotionally Uncomfortable podcast, I have decided to take a more behind the scenes look or conversation, just to take the conversation one step deeper when it comes to business. Over the last, 5+ years, I have been working with women behind the scenes, not only feeling successful at home in their personal lives and parenting and health and all of that, but also in their professional lives. So I started a private podcast that's called Emotionally Uncomfortable, Attracting Profit. This is for women who own 6- and 7-figure companies who want to figure out how to attract more profit, time, money, and energy, while also feeling alive and energized. So if this is you, head on over to Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/profit. This is a private podcast, so you will not find this on Spotify or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. You have to opt in to get access to it. So we talk about sales, we talk about marketing, we talk about focus and revenue generating habits. And we talk also about things that a lot of people aren't talking about, which is how to stay married when you are a successful woman. So head on over to Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/profit, PROFIT. Hello.
Hello.
I'm so excited for this conversation.
Me too.
Bridgitte, you have the most, look at your microphone. This is so appropriate. You have like these little rhinestones. Is that like actual rhinestones or like a sticker?
Like a little sticker, the Enneagram 7 in me. I just want things to be fun. And I was like, why not bejewel my mic?
I love it.
That's
so your vibe.
Yeah. I try not to take myself too seriously. You know what I mean?
Well, you can't when you're like doing all the things. And isn't this the whole point of why we're doing what we're doing? Because you want it to be fun.
Yes.
You want to feel light. You want to feel free.
Yes.
Okay.
Joy-filled, all the things.
100%. So let's go back to your health journey. You are the founder of GutPersonal. I have used your products. I love them. I don't have any in front of me right now, but I love the Soother. I love the magnesium. And I love that, there's passion behind it. There's a story behind it. So I've met you recently. We just connected recently. So I didn't see you during that time, and you just exude vitality and exude fulfillment and perseverance, and you're just such a shining light in the world. So let's go back a little bit and talk about what got you here.
Oh, thank you. I just have to say thank you first, because you're pouring into me and just feels so good. So I'll take you back to where it all started. So I was an injured athlete in high school. And for the first time in my life, I couldn't use exercise to keep my body healthy. I had post-concussive disorder. I had a lot of concussions in the first couple years of high school. And so I started to take interest in nutrition, in this new way of taking care of my body that wasn't exercise, because I couldn't exercise like I was doing before.
Can we just first stop there and say how it's so ridiculous that nutrition isn't like foundational, like number one?
Yeah. It's wild. I remember I took a nutrition class in high school, and it was about how to make ramen healthier when you entered college. It was bananas. So bananas. So yeah, my belief is that, food is medicine, but it took a lot of years to pour belief into that thought, because I loved nutrition, and I realized I could be a dietitian. It was like this aha for me of, wow, I can turn this huge passion of mine into a career. And so I went to school And as I went to university, as the years went on, the sicker I got, which didn't make sense because I was exercising, I was eating well, I was sleeping, doing all these fundamental things, yet my body was getting sicker and sicker. And for me, how that showed up in symptoms was migraines, thyroid issues. So I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, period problems, not going to the bathroom every day. I was so wildly bloated, had all these food sensitivities, and I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 20. And so I was going to all these different doctors for all of these different things. I was on 5 different medications, and they just kept stacking on to each other. And no one was giving me this holistic view of what the hell is going on in my body and why, if I'm using food as medicine, if I'm treating my body well, why is this still happening? And it wasn't until I went to grad school that I realized there was this other type of medicine called functional medicine, which is this more holistic style and that tries to figure out what is the root cause of imbalance? Why? Not answering the question what with diagnosis. Why was this happening? And once I figured that out, that everything, my migraines, my thyroid issues, my ADHD even, was all because my gut was a mess. And I did a poop test to figure all that out, got all the personalized, testing. It was a literal life changer. And it shifted everything for me. I finally healed. And then for the last decade, I've been helping other women with a super personalized approach to healing.
So I heard you talk about belief.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk a lot about, of course, emotions. And yes, people are like, yes, belief and mindset and all the things. Let's talk about beliefs and our body and how you had to buy into the belief that healing was possible.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think belief is at the core of so many things. And I think under that even is worthiness that shifts into belief. I was lucky enough to grow up with my mom who didn't take no or didn't take answers from doctors that didn't feel good to her as that is the answer. I grew up with a mom who would question why she still didn't feel good, for example, when she was on thyroid medication. Like, why wasn't this working for me? So I grew up with someone who was always tuning into her own beliefs and questioning the status quo. And I think that helped me and showed young Bridgitte that you don't have to just take what others believe as your own beliefs. You know what I mean? If you're tuned into your intuition and your gut instinct, that's very powerful in informing your own beliefs.
So how do you become aware? So I hear this a lot I will never forget when my health was at its rock bottom. The first thing I did was pop in Abraham Hicks into my ears. And it was like, your body is wise. Your body knows what it needs to do. And I remember having this visceral response at first, because I was in a state of fight or flight, and I was panic, right? And I'm I could feel myself not believing that thought. I was yes, but it's sick. But if it knew how to heal itself, and I didn't quite yet understand, I needed to help it. Right.
Yes.
So then there's this duality or this part where you're okay, I need to take action. Yeah. I need to, maybe I need to go find out the why. I need to go find out the how. I need to do all these things. But then there's this frustration. There's this it's not working. It's not working. It's not working. So how do you begin to continue with belief work while you're taking the test, while you're pooping in the French fry containers? Well, I've done a few GI maps in my
Yes. Oh my God. Well, then you know how freaking
you
powerful
never look
they
at
are.
French fry, and you never look at French fry containers the same.
You really don't. It's literally my favorite food, and I can't look at it the same.
If you want to stop eating French fries, just take a GI test.
Just take a poop test. So it's actually so funny that you talk about and bring up Abraham Hicks, because my mom was also Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, all of that all the time. But she was also, and something I've learned through watching her journey and just growing up with her, is that it was a lot of law of attraction and not a lot of law of action. And
Ooh,
so
say that again.
it was a lot of law of attraction. What I want comes to me, but it was not a lot of law of action.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking the aligned steps, in my case, in your case, to heal.
Yeah.
And so I think there is this, especially us women, right? When we think we've tried all the things, we then tell ourselves and pour back into ourselves, I've tried everything and it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really dangerous path to go down. A lot of women we've worked with, that I've worked with the last decade, come to me and say, I've tried everything, nothing's working. Well, that's a belief in and of itself. You haven't tried everything, girlfriend. You haven't pooped in that French fry container, okay? So when the belief runs dry, we might have to go in search of new beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And how that's, always supported me in my healing journey and in business was finding others who had beliefs that I did not, who I could say, okay, I can adopt their belief because they had the result that I want.
Yeah. I just had a retreat this weekend with the mentors in our community. And these are women who have gone through my program or one of my programs. And it was interesting to see, because they've been with me for a few years and they were going back to that old version of themselves. And they're like, you gave me hope. Mm-hmm. And so often when I'm looking for any type of support, especially in healthcare or wellness or anything like life enhancing, we're so conditioned to the traditional, check the boxes, go do this, go do that. But if that healthcare practitioner does not embody hope, mm-hmm. then at this stage in my life, I'm not attracted to that. So they don't if they don't embody the energy of hope, I really take that as a sign as well that they're not bought into the belief that healing is possible. Mm-hmm. And that is the power of it, right? Because if your healthcare practitioners are treating you like it is what it is, you're going to live with this forever, again, you're going to be stuck into their belief system as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's why, and as I've built my practice and as I've become more vocal about my journey and what we do, the core thing that I want when people come to our Instagram page or our website, that they feel empowered, which is a form of hope, right? Yeah. That they feel like I can finally tackle this. I can finally feel well. I can finally have answers. And, how we do a lot of that empowerment is through storytelling, is through transparency and sharing our own story so that they can see themselves in it. Yeah.
So how did GutPersonal come to be?
Oh gosh. So I had this business mentor who was first helping me launch my private practice. I launched a virtual practice during the pandemic, June 2020. And she was a business and mindset coach. And we worked a lot on subconscious healing and somewhat strategy of business. And I'd always felt safe to share my hopes and dreams with her. Mm. And supplements always were coming up in the beginning of our work together. I believe that supplements are so powerful, especially when they're personalized. And I even love what you said to me when you first received our supplements, these have good energy, mm-hmm. because I really believe the right supplements, they do have this energetic response in our body. And so a year after working together, so it was summer of 2021, we had a casual conversation and she said, hey, your practice online is is killing it. But what about that supplement company that you always wanted to start? What about that? And, a lot of belief about myself as a business owner and as a woman to make money, I had worked through that as a practitioner. Mm-hmm. And I built a really successful practice online, but I had never been a CEO of a physical product company. Mm-hmm. But I had a lot of purpose. I had a lot of passion behind it. So when she started to bring up that I had this idea a year ago and that I wanted to do it differently than any other supplement company out there, mm-hmm. it ignited this fire inside of me. And pretty quickly, I identified my barriers, beliefs, and then also just barriers in and of itself. I didn't know how to market supplement company. And I very quickly glazed through those barriers and pushed through them because I had so much purpose and passion behind this company. So in about a 4-month time frame after that conversation, on 11/11/2021, we launched GutPersonal, my supplement company.
That's amazing. You have killed it since then.
Thank you.
Killed it with love, like in a good,
yes,
in a good way. Athletic Greens. I know you're like, Heather, are you going to fucking talk about AG1 again? Yes, I am. And so is every other podcast host because we have become addicted to this green substance. AG1 has over 7,000 5-star reviews. It's recommended by professional athletes and trusted by leading health experts. And I have fallen in love. AG1 has become one of those just simple daily healthy habits. And I sneak that shit into my boys' smoothies as well. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 free year of immune boosting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is head on over to drinkag1.com/EU. That's drinkag1.com/EU for emotionally uncomfortable. It's fascinating. Like when you say I've identified my barriers and then kind of blew through them, awareness is so important and not getting stuck on the awareness, but just having that self-awareness and saying, okay, here's the barrier. Like I'm always telling people, it's like you're going on a road trip. You have this GPS. It's telling you how to get there. It's telling you where the roadblocks are. And sometimes you're like, do I want to slow down here? Do I want to wait in traffic for 3 hours? Or can I just turn right and go around? Life is the exact same thing. And I don't know why as humans, we just get stuck and we're like, I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know how. And it's like, well, do you know anybody who can get you one step closer?
Oh my gosh, that is so good, people. Yeah. Literally, I also, hold this belief that I don't have to be the how, as the visionary, which I know so many of us women are incredible visionaries. We have this vision, but we don't know the how. I've always, and I know you've been an entrepreneur so much longer than I have. For the past 3 years, I never let the how get in my way. It's always, who is smarter than me in this area? Who can I delegate this to? Or what podcast can I listen to about learning about the how? I always have this, I would love to learn about this and then take the action. You know what I mean? I think also we can't just learn and just keep learning and learning and learning. We have to take the action. We have to push through the barrier. We have to fail sometimes. What even is failure? But
I know, I love that you're like, what is failure? I don't know why people get so connected to this word.
Yeah.
I'm like, you failed if you decided not to continue. Like you've just quit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really don't think that I've ever, you know what I mean? In that sense, I don't think I've ever really failed. They're all just lessons and feedback. And when you're doing something new, golly, you're gonna get a lot of lessons from it. I hope to God you do, because this life is about growth.
I find a lot of people that I look up to, when people ask them the question about failure, they're like, they have to reflect a moment to be like, what have I failed at? Like, and it's not that they haven't failed, is that they're just not attaching. There's not too much energetic attachment to it. I said this to someone the other day. I'm like, everything is just a test. Like, I'm like, okay, did that work? Pivot, 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 pivot. And the most difficult thing that I notice is when I have team that is very left brain and spreadsheet, and they're like, but this is the strategy that we've committed to. And I'm like, but it's not working. So we have we just have to shift it slightly. And I think that is also a superpower of a visionary and a creative mind, where it's like, we just need to push slightly. I want to talk about this relationship, because the podcast is called Emotionally Uncomfortable. Part of the reason why I called it that is because I call it the messy middle. Mm-hmm. So I use the analogy of like people trying to like play double dutch. And in the middle of double dutch, like once you get in, you're like, yes, like you're so proud of yourself, but you're afraid of jumping in because you're afraid you're going to get whipped, like, and hit with the rope. Right. So we're afraid. And then we go in and we're like, you might not get what you want. But when you're on the inside, you have to feel your feelings, and you have to feel the fear and the opposite of that too. Like if you want this joy, if you want the freedom, if you want the vitality and health and whatever you're after, the quote unquote abundance, when you're like acting, right? The law of action, when you start taking action towards it, those blocks are going to come up and you got to feel it fully. So how has that been, like, what has been your experience when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to jump in the rope, I'm going to go for it, when it comes to like the law of action and being emotionally uncomfortable?
I literally can feel that in my body when you're talking about that jump, right? Like we all have that, like, ooh, like it feels like a little bit of like nausea mixed with like my heart's going to drop. So how I've, worked through that, I'm always praised for taking action quickly, like by mentors and coaches, friends. I'm very, and have cultivated this, my whole life, I've come to realize, is I'm very in tune with my gut instinct. And anytime that I've taken action and my gut's really been saying, this is the thing, that it's never steered me incorrectly. So how I take that action or how I propel myself forward is tuning more into my intuition. And how I personally do that, I do a lot of breath work. I do a lot of self-reflection. Sometimes it looks like journaling. Sometimes it looks like meditation. Breath work is just really powerful for me. So like tuning back into my gut instinct and my intuition always helps me take that action or like that leap and jump into the double dutch.
Mm-hmm. I can very much resonate with this because, I this weekend when we were with the mentors, part of like me doing my own reflection work was getting back to my bigger vision and then learning to speak my truth about it. Like, because I'd say the last year I swung the other way where I was like, okay, everyone else thinks that I can do this better. So I'm going to let them lead a little bit. And it's finding that fine balance between going to trust your gut, right? Trusting your gut, taking action on that. Somebody else saying, this may work better or try this. And you're like, but it's coming back to your intuition, right? So, do you have any comments on that? Like, especially building this business where it's like, I don't know the how, but I know I need to like deeply trust myself while also not having all the answers.
Yeah. I mean, if we talk about like the last year, that's really what that my new level of growth has been, because I really have never done this. I've never grown a physical product company. And now, we took on investors. And so there's this deeper kind of level of responsibility that I hold that I was wrapping up a little bit too much of other people's thought of the how. And I did lose a lot of my intuition.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what's really freaking cool is after that year journey of kind of pouring into too many podcasts, maybe listening to mentors that, were a little bit too spreadsheety, a little bit too strategy focused, not as much intuition, is that when I started, and actually it was after our trip to St. Lucia, where you and I met,
Mm-hmm.
that next week, there was something that was just calling me back to my intuition and back to more feminine flow. That was our best week ever of sales. And so it was like this universal wink of like, girlfriend, go back. It doesn't matter if you've never grown a physical product company to $100 million in revenue. It doesn't matter. Your intuition and your gut feeling still matters. And so the last month for me has been tuning into that. And we had our best month ever.
I love this because it goes back to how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? And I'm all about how do you want to feel? And
yeah,
I feel like the last month for me has been the opposite because I've had this crazy viral thing going on and I haven't felt like myself to the point where like I love contrast. I love where it's like, not this, not this, not this. This is not my normal feeling like this. So I'm like, what do I need to do to feel better? How good can it get? How good can I feel? And I'm doing all the things, right? Checking the boxes, Eastern, Western, integrative, all the things. But I'm not being a victim to how I feel. I'm like, what else can I do? What else can I do? And it goes back to how do you want to feel and the belief and doing the inner work, taking an integrative approach and, just taking really good fucking care of your health.
Yeah. I went through different but similar about in December. So right now when we're recording this, it's May. In December, I was in my first trimester. And that was the first thing that put me on my butt that I couldn't I couldn't feel better. Like I felt so nauseous. All these natural remedies, yes, were making me feel 10% better, 20% better. But it was kind of the first time as a practitioner where I literally had to surrender.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, wow, this is a lesson that's coming from my generator, do self. It was a lesson for my health, but it was also a lesson of my business that my team, because I hired an incredible team surrounding me in my business, that they crushed it without me. I was not working that much in my first trimester because I truly did not feel great, and they crushed it. And so it was like this lesson that I needed of trust in my team. It's bigger than just my intuition. My intuition said hire them, but now I needed to fully believe and trust them to do their job. And that was a really cool lesson for me.
Yeah. Also a practice in sustainability because it's like, okay, you got this. Now life is going to happen, right? These things are going to happen and we need to work on trusting the people around us. And I think too often as ambitious women, visionaries, we're like, okay. And then it's like, oh God, I gotta trust. That's always a lesson. Bridgitte, I could talk to you forever and ever. Where can people find you? What do you got going on? GutPersonal, all the things.
Yes. So I'm Bridgitte Mallinson on Instagram. Something very exciting coming up. I'm in my third trimester of pregnancy.
Baby. For mamahood's coming.
She's coming. I'm so wildly excited. And I couldn't have been given your book at the more perfect time. I just finished it, I don't know, a couple of days ago, and I've not been able to put it down. I'm just in love. I was in love. I kept messaging you how much I loved it. So anyways, I'm going to be a new mama, so that'll be wildly exciting. we're launching a couple really incredible new products for GutPersonal. So if you want to come, get a personalized approach to health, an empowering approach to health that you maybe haven't gotten, we do all the poop testing, we do supplements over at GutPersonal, and come get yourself feeling really great with us. And it's a really good time. We're a family. So
I love it. Yeah. Your products are amazing. Is it gutpersonal.com?
Yeah. Gutpersonal.com or on Instagram is where we hang out. I'm in the DMs a lot answering clinical health related questions. We have a couple other dietitians we're all practitioners. So it's really important for me that you guys are getting the right information to feel really empowered.
Awesome. We will post that in the show notes. Thank you, Bridgitte. I'm so excited for you and cannot wait to continue watching you grow.
Thank you.
Did you know you're my favorite? I love my podcast listeners and I want to get to know you better. So I would love for you to head on over to Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/chat. This is a way for you to text me, to send me a video, and to connect with me. So maybe there's something that I said on the podcast, or maybe I might say to you, go text me the word and I'll tell you a word. That's where we're going to do it. So I want you to be able to connect with me. Tell me what other episodes you want me to talk about, what your biggest takeaway and aha moment was. This is all about community. So head on over to heatherchauvin.com/chat. Let's get to know each other. Why are you here? What's your biggest takeaway? What type of supports are you seeking? Who do you want me to interview next? heatherchauvin.com/chat. CHAT.